Hey friends, how are you guys? Welcome. Okay, let's just start from the beginning. So I have coffee here. Which is like what I always have with me, pretty much, because I love coffee so much. Thank you to those of you who are new here. I am rebooting my YouTube channel as my 2024 self. I have been doing YouTube and online and everything since a long time. I have a lot of videos on here that are from a past life, if you will, when I was working in fashion and I was like casually blogging and doing the fashion thing. And then in 2017, things really started to shift. And you notice that because I have a few videos that I posted through the shifts, which I think really rawly present, in a raw form, present the changes and the mess and like what that all looks like. And as time has gone by and we've peeled back all these layers, and then we went through 2020 and all of that together, and I became a mom for the first time in 2019. And when 2020's like was just kind of becoming a thing, I was nurturing and learning how to nurture myself, a 3-month-old. And then in 2023, I had my daughter, who's now just about 15 months, and my son is 4.5 years old. We moved from Montreal downtown, my husband and I, in this year after getting married, to the middle of nowhere. We literally live neither here nor there between Ottawa and Gatineau. So like between Ontario and Quebec, two provinces or states, depending on how you refer them, where you're from. Quebec is the same province as where Montreal is. So it's similar-ish, but it's very different. We're trying to move to Ontario, to Ottawa. We love it there. We thought about moving to Montreal back after we had kids, but it doesn't seem like it's working out. We moved here initially for my husband's job. The rural life has been so good to us, but also really hard through this season of becoming parents. Later in life, I'm 41 now. I had my son at 36 and I turned 37 2 weeks later, and I had my daughter by C-section that I called, at the 11th hour, but I advocated vehemently to have a VBAC because I had a C-section with my son that was scheduled. Been through a lot in the last 2 years, as we all have, and I changed careers and I became a more authentic, pared back version of myself that kind of got lost in the trenches of like keeping up, as we all do in our 20s and 30s. It's a thing. I would definitely call myself a late bloomer in the best way possible. I am loving this season of life as I like ground myself into motherhood the second time. It hasn't, where I think it could have frustrated me, it's actually because it was an unexpected pregnancy. That's a whole other story. It has actually grounded me really in becoming the best version of myself. And I'm so grateful for trusting the journey of becoming a mom for the first time with my son and the second time with my daughter, because I am learning a lot through those experiences, and it's a lot of discomfort for both my husband and I, who are freedom chasers and who find it really hard to have to commit to parenting, but at the same time show up so wholeheartedly in parenting. So we're constantly living two sides of the same coin. In 2017, after my burnout, I started to explore all the things, and I created a business with my business partner named Athena. And she and I parted ways in 2022 after she wanted to pursue jewelry, and what we were doing was moon circles and card readings, and I was dipping my toe in astrology. And the call to pursue astrology came to me around 2017 when I really started to look at, I am so burnt out and I'm so tired and I'm so out of alignment of who I need to be. And I've learned a lot in the last 5 years over that, the last 6 years, last 7 years. I've learned so much. One of my biggest takeaways is that I'm proud of myself for trusting when it looked really messy and I didn't know what the next step would be. And I'm also so amazed by how the pursuit of your real self, when you feel lost, and the reason you're lost are because you're just depleted and sick and you have no more energy and you're just fed up. The journey and the pursuit of those little nudges, when it actually paves itself, it doesn't look the way that you think it's going to look. Like, your mind can't keep up with what it's actually going to look like. So it's a lot about trusting and asking questions and being really vulnerable. The online sphere has changed so much in this time. And in a lot of ways with that too, I am really grounding myself finally. I had this nudge that last year, like, things were going to shift so big. Read this really interesting article recently on how, like, even if you haven't opened up the application TikTok, do I sound 41 by saying application? Yes, I do. Even if you haven't opened up the TikTok, what is wrong with me right now? If you haven't opened up TikTok, it has influenced the way that you're living your life. And that's because there's so many reasons why, but it just changed the way we're experiencing social media, the way we're experiencing each other and ourselves and the world, and it's influenced all the other apps, and it's a lot. And as someone who has immersed myself in social media since the get-go and was a blogger since 2008, and I absolutely love the online world, and I love the community, and I love connecting with others, it's a lot of other things at the same time too. I wouldn't say it's good or bad and good or either or. It just is. And we're just learning to navigate it. It's not going anywhere. I'm loving the pace of things where they are now in a way, because I'm like, we are learning our limits with these apps and our limits with being online versus in real life. And we're learning how to be in real life again in a different way post 2020 and all of that. The dust is settling. And anyways, it's sort of like a preamble. It's all the things. I think I was gonna like do a little intro and then post about the week's astrology, but I think what I'm gonna do is actually film a second video right now. But this is just kind of like, hello, hi, I'm back. I'm here. I'm going to be doing astrology content on here. I'm an astrologer now. That's another thing. It's like a huge deal that I've like come out this year, and I've fully accepted that role and that purpose and that sense of direction and that calling. I don't necessarily do things in a woo way. I do it in kind of like, I would say, a modern way. It implements my fashion background. I have a series on TikTok mostly, but it also cross posts to Instagram, but it was inspired by TikTok. And just the vibe of that platform and the vein of its algorithm is what I wore as an astrologer. And I think that's a really fun kind of nod to like what I wore as a stay-at-home mom, what I wore as, you know, a blogger. There's always like one of those kind of cachets. So what I wore as an astrologer, Venus, which is like our style point in our chart. It's the ruling planet to both Taurus and Libra. It's a beautiful planet, and it's conjunct my sun, which means my sun and Venus are 2 and 1 and the same in my chart. And so while I've struggled and gone through like waves of like, how do I show up in relation to fashion after purging a fashion career, after becoming part of the world of card reading and astrology and supporting others by reading birth charts, which is, I'm sure you all know what a birth chart is, but if you don't, it's based off of the date, time, place of birth, and your date of birth. And someone who can read the planets and the zodiac signs and the degrees and the graphs and all of that, and has good ethics, can tell you a little bit about yourself, a lot about yourself, what you're going through, who you are, your soul's path. It can really help you connect with the story of who you are. It's an empowering tool, and I absolutely love it. And while I do this work, I also like to give it a little chic edge, because that's who I am. And I was Stephanie Chic online for the longest time, because I had this blog called Le Cheap Say Chic, and my handle and all of my group platforms, whatever, was called Stephanie Chic. So it's all of that, and I'm really happy to be here. Like, I just was thinking about online, and I'm like, how are we showing up in this space that wants quick things and wants trends and the algorithm, and just struggling as a creative and an artist, and like how to show up in a way that is so candid and so rich, but the content just isn't reaching the right people, or is kind of scratching the surface online. And I don't want to be yelling at people and throwing stuff at people like in the fast tumultuous pace of online in those apps, I thought, YouTube, now time to come back to this space that I have a history with, and that was a great space for me for a long time. A lot of my videos here, actually, I deleted them. I kind of regret that, kind of don't. It's such a Scorpio thing of me to just purge them. Some of them I just had on secret or private for the longest time, and I just put everything that was in my archives that was on private back to public, so you can see it all now. It's like a handful of stuff. I think it's enough to kind of give you a gist of like where I was at. There's a couple on like what's in my bag. I was designer bag focused, and then there's a couple on like plot twists and pivots and healing and the scratching the surface. And I look back at myself in like 2019 and 2018 where I was trying to find who I was in that space, and I was sharing parts of the journey and trying to discover how I could teach healing. I love that I've become a type of a teacher, because in school, I don't think I was encouraged. There's a lot of things I could say about that, but I wasn't encouraged to like find that path or seek out that path. And I felt lost a lot of the time in academics, even though I absolutely loved school. It was frustrating at the grading level and the like, what do you want to study and all that. Anyways, but I do feel like teaching is something that I've thought about a lot, and now I just do it, but in a different form, you know, and I support people through like one-to-one sessions, and I do astrology readings, so birth charts and guidance sessions, and solar returns, which is a birthday reading forecast for the year ahead. And I've been taking this seriously since I would say 2019. And then from like 2020 till 2022, it was a thing. And then I had my daughter in 2023, got pregnant in middle of 2022. And I started to kind of wonder, like, how can I show up? And I still have that question all the time, because I have 2 kids and my husband obviously has a full-time job. And if you're a mom, you kind of know what that looks like, and all of our family and relatives and just our entire network and community live in Montreal, so we don't have a lot of support here. So it's really hard in that regard, but really fulfilling in other ways. The country life is something that I absolutely love. I also love the city life, but more and more I'm loving the country life and the seeking out of city life in moments where I get to choose when I want to be around that noise. I think it's also extremely important for me as a person to be removed from the stimulus of the city, because I'm so sensitive to other people's opinions and energies, that what I know to be true about myself now is that I can become someone else when I'm in an energy that is favorable or unfavorable, you know, and I choose to live remotely. I think it's really relevant for my well-being. So I post fashion videos on social, and I'm going to do more snippets on social of like behind the scenes of what life as Stephanie Bordy looks like, I guess, as I weave the way through parenting and astrology work, and try and keep up the momentum of the schedule that I want to serve people to offer them readings. My readings are really fulfilling for me. I also do baby birth charts, children's birth charts, and that was something that I shelved for a long time. I have an Etsy listing for them. It's in written form, and it's a chart that you can also frame for your child's room. And I didn't do that for a long time because I thought about the ethics of it, and I think I was overthinking it, and I was putting too much pressure on myself to do the right thing. So Venus of me in a way, and I'm also Jupiter ruled, because Sagittarius is my rising sign and Scorpio is my sun sign. Ethics really play in a lot of what I do. And sometimes I can kind of cut myself short because of it, where other people I think just chase things and they're a little more like reckless about it, which is fine, you know. And so this year, at the suggestion of both my doula and some really good friends who absolutely loved that offering, I brought that back, and I really committed to it, in that I created a whole like Etsy listing and space for children's birth charts and baby birth charts to live, and I illustrated a graph for it, and I'm actually getting reacquainted with that service, and I'm loving it as much as I love the real, like the Zoom call sessions with clients too. So this is the year of just like truly just showing up for me. And I love that YouTube has entered the chat in that space. I also do a lot of coffee content. There is a lot of coffee archive content on social as well, especially on Instagram, less so on TikTok. And this is an oat milk latte, which is my beverage of choice. I have a little fancy machine. It's the Avanti Trieste, and I absolutely love it. It's like a semi-professional machine. So I grind my own beans. I use the Minion Eureka grinder. And yeah, I mean, that's what I got, I guess. I'm gonna jump into another video now, and I'm gonna do the astrology of the week. And I'll probably post a few more videos this week too on here, just of like some card pulls for us. So I love reading the energy of the week through cards. I think it's such a beautiful gift to be able to share the messages that I can connect with to help you feel empowered and know a little bit more about yourself. I always use astrology as a tool to empower others. You know, like someone asked me this morning, a good friend, and he was like, hey, like, is the astrology good or bad this week? And I'm like, it's neither good nor bad. It just is. It just is. I don't work in the realms of good or bad when it comes to especially this work, because it's like, it just is. We gotta move through it. We gotta look at it. We gotta look at ourselves, and we gotta be willing to look at what we want to commit to and sacrifice to reach our highest fulfillment. And I don't think in 2024 anything other than that is on the table. Like, I really don't. So we are not in the business of selling ourselves short, and we are in the business of being in fearless and courageous pursuit of everything that is going to make us so happy, where every kind of thing that you do in your life just evokes this sensory experience from you, where you're like, that's a hell yes. It's always a hell yes. And I don't feel like I'm being dragged as much as possible in my life. I feel really connected and aligned with my choices and with my capacity to make empowered choices for myself and not abandon myself. I work a lot through not abandoning ourselves, because I abandoned myself for a really long time. And it's not a fun way to live. So I will leave it at that for you guys. Please forgive me as I get reacquainted with like what creating YouTube content consists of in 2024. I feel like I need an intro and an outro. I do feel like I need that, but I'll figure that out in time. I also do want to create these little shorts for you guys, but I think maybe that'll be more in the space of like figuring out card pulls. I really suck at saying messages in less than 90 seconds, let alone 60 seconds. So I don't know. I'll just see if I'm capable of that. But thank you for watching this. Thank you for being here. And I look forward to connecting with you. I'll leave you on that for now. So have a beautiful day.